Good evening. You're listening to Quiet Sleep Cat, a calm place for slow stories and gentle rest. You don't need to focus. Just relax and let the night carry you. The road feels different tonight, though May cannot yet say why. The air is cooler than it was a week ago. The sky turns dark a little earlier. The bridge lantern is already lit by the time she leaves the library lane and begins the familiar walk home. Moonlight Town is very calm at this hour. The post office has lowered its front lamp. The bakery windows hold only a last warm glow. The tailor's curtain is drawn half closed. Even the herb boxes by the fence seem more still, as if the night has asked everything to rest a little sooner. May walks without hurry. There is no basket in her hands tonight, no letter to carry, no errand that must be finished before sleep. Only the road. Only the cool stone beneath her steps. Only the small evening sounds that belong to the town when most doors are already shut. A leaf turns once near the curb and settles by the wall. Somewhere farther off, a cup is set down behind a window. Water moves under the bridge with its steady, dark rhythm. The whole town feels held together by small sounds and smaller lights. May has walked this way many times. That is why she does not always look carefully. Familiar roads sometimes disappear inside familiarity. Tonight, however, the road keeps drawing her attention back to itself. Not because anything unusual is there, not because she senses a mystery, only because the hour seems especially clear. The distance between one warm place and the next can be felt more gently. The darker spaces between them do not feel empty. They feel shaped. Breath in and out. She passes the bridge first. The lantern there burns in its familiar place, golden, steady, kind. It throws a soft line across the rail and a thin reflection into the water below. Beyond it lies the quieter stretch of road that curves between a row of smaller houses and the wall near the old climbing roses. May knows this part well. It is never fully dark, yet it is never brightly lit either. She slows a little as she enters that stretch. The houses there are modest. Some keep their shutters closed early. Some leave a hall lamp low for longer. One keeps a narrow blue curtain that always shifts when the breeze enters through a cracked upper pane. These are not dramatic details, but the road seems made of them. May has always thought of this walk as simple. Bridge, stone wall, 3 houses, the bend, then home. Yet tonight, as she moves through the middle of it, she feels there is something she has long been receiving from this stretch without ever naming it. A small steadiness, a little warmth at the right distance, a sense that the road never quite lets itself grow lonely. She does not stop yet. She only walks more slowly. And in that slower pace, the road begins, little by little, to show her what it has been holding all this time. A little farther on, her eyes rise to a window she has passed many times before. It is on the upper floor of the third house after the bridge. Not large, not bright. Only a single warm rectangle behind pale curtains, resting above the road at the point where the darker stretch begins to soften again. May has seen it before. Of course she has. Anyone walking this road at night would have noticed it in some passing way. And yet, tonight is the first time she truly looks at it. Not a glance, not a half-seeing, a real look, held long enough for the window to become itself. The light behind the glass is gentle. It is not the gold of a shop, not the brighter yellow of a kitchen at supper time. It is lower than that, warmer, steadier, the kind of light that seems to have been turned on not for display, but simply because evening came and someone inside wished the room to remain kind. She stops without meaning to. Her feet come to rest on the stone as naturally as if the road itself has asked for one quiet pause. The window does not call to her. It does not stand out. If anything, it seems almost careful not to do so. Its quietness is part of why she notices it now. May tries to understand what feels newly clear. The house itself is ordinary. The curtain is ordinary. The height of the window above the road is ordinary. And still, once she has really seen it, the whole stretch of street seems to rearrange itself around that small square of warmth. It had always been there. That is what she knows first. Not a new light, not an unexpected one, a familiar one. So familiar that her mind had placed it among the unnoticed parts of the road, like the stone edging by the wall or the lower rail of the bridge. Breath in and out. She looks away for a moment toward the farther bend. Without the window in her sight, the road seems slightly deeper. Then she lets her eyes return, and at once the middle distance changes again. The stretch between bridge and bend no longer feels like a single dark ribbon. It has a gentle anchor in it now, a point of rest, a place where the eye can settle without effort. May does not think first of the room behind the glass. Tonight, she thinks of the road. She thinks of how a road learns its shape from the smallest things. A lantern at a crossing, a shop sign left low, a warm window at the point where one steps would otherwise feel a little more alone. The light is not strong enough to brighten the whole street. It does something subtler than that. It gives the darkness edges. It gives the walk a middle. It makes the quiet part of the road feel inhabited. May stands a little longer than she expected to. The moment does not feel strange, only accurate, as if she has finally looked at something that has been accompanying her for years and has only now introduced itself properly. For a while, May does not move. The road remains quiet enough for stillness to feel natural. No carriage passes. No late voices rise from nearby windows. Only the bridge behind her, the bend ahead, and that one warm pane above the stone. she begins to understand that the window is not merely part of the house. It has become part of the road. Not in ownership. Not in any official way. Only through repetition. Through being there night after night, steady enough that the eye begins to trust it before the mind has ever named the trust. Some lights announce themselves. Shop lights do. Festival lights do. Even lanterns by the bridge hold a ceremonial quality. This window does not do any of that. It asks for no admiration. It offers no invitation. It simply remains. And because it remains, it changes the walk below it. May thinks of the difference between a road that is dark and a road that is gently held inside darkness. This part of Moonlight Town has always belonged to the second kind. She sees that now. The bridge lantern begins the road kindly. The distant houses end it kindly. And here, in the middle, this upper window keeps the deeper section from becoming too empty. A road does not need much to feel accompanied. Not a row of lamps. Not broad brightness. Sometimes, only one point of warmth at the right distance is enough. Enough to tell the feet they are still on a known way. Enough to tell the eyes where to rest. Enough to make the stretch ahead feel less lonely. Breath in and out. May has the quiet thought that the road may have borrowed this light long ago. Borrowed it so completely and so politely that no one has had reason to speak of it. It has simply been included in the nightly arrangement of things. Water under the bridge, stone underfoot, a softer patch of dark near the wall, and above it, one room whose lamp remains lit a little later than the rest. She looks down the street again, then back to the window. The effect is unmistakable now. Without that small square of gold, the bend ahead would feel farther away. The houses would seem more separate. The night would deepen too evenly. With it, the road keeps a human measure. A gentle pause between one known place and the next. May remembers how often the town makes comfort out of modest adjustments. A lantern lowered by a bench. A path cleared before someone returns. A notebook left within reach, but not on display. Moonlight Town rarely uses grand gestures. It arranges familiarity. It places warmth where it will be quietly useful. Perhaps that is why this window feels so immediately right to her now. Not because it is special in itself, because it has been useful in a way no one needed to point out. It has stood above the road long enough to become part of how the road is remembered. After that, other small memories begin to gather. Not full conversations, not stories told from beginning to end. Only the sort of remarks that pass lightly through a town and are understood because they do not need much explanation. May remembers once hearing the post office clerk say, on a colder night, "The road beyond the bridge still looks awake." At the time, she thought the clerk meant the bridge lantern. Now she is no longer sure. She remembers Mrs. Imai, while wrapping bread late one evening, glancing toward the door and saying, "It feels warmer out there than it looks." Perhaps she had meant this stretch too. There was another memory as well. A week or two earlier, Miss Elin from the library had paused on the steps, looked toward the road, and said, almost to herself, "That light is still there." May had not asked which light. There had seemed no need. Now the sentence returns with a new shape. Not surprise, not even relief exactly. More like recognition of a thing so reliable it could be spoken of with only half a thought. May looks again at the window. She wonders how many people have quietly marked their walk by it. Someone carrying letters home after a late shift. Someone returning from the bridge with chilled hands. Someone crossing the road after the bakery had gone dark and the library had closed. Not because the window belonged to them, because the road, for a little while each night, had quietly shared it. She realizes then that comfort is often communal long before it is acknowledged. A person may light a room for private reasons, to read, to mend, to rest, to remain awake a little longer. Yet beyond the wall and glass, that same light may become part of other lives. A sign that the familiar stretch has not entirely folded into darkness. A point by which the body knows where it is. Breath in and out. This thought does not make May curious in a sharp way. She does not feel the urge to know the name behind the window immediately. What matters first is not the person, but the relationship. The road and the light. The long habit of one keeping company with the other. That is what fills the moment. That is what seems newly visible. The town has done this before, she thinks. Not with the same light, not in the same place, but in spirit. Moonlight Town knows how to let ordinary things become gentle arrangements. A bench becomes a held place. A lantern becomes part of a return. A shelf becomes a place for wishes. And here, without anyone announcing it, an upper window has become part of the walk home. May likes that no one appears to own this understanding alone. It belongs to the road itself, to those who use it often enough, to those who have felt their steps relax there without knowing why, to those who might never describe the comfort properly, and yet would notice at once if it were gone. The road remains quiet enough for her to stay a moment longer. No one appears at the bend. No window opens above her. The town seems content to let the scene remain exactly as it is. One person on the road, one lit window above, and a night gentle enough to hold both without hurrying either one onward. May lets her hands rest loosely at her sides. The stone beneath her shoes still keeps a little warmth from the day, though not much. The air carries the dry, clean scent that comes when autumn has fully entered the town, but winter has not yet touched it. A faint trace of bread lingers from farther back near the bakery. Nearer at hand, the climbing roses by the wall have gone almost scentless. The window shines above all of this without changing. That that steadiness becomes the heart of the moment. Not brightening, not dimming, not asking, only staying. May finds that the longer she stands beneath it, the less she thinks of it as a window, and the more she thinks of it as a quiet measure of distance. Bridge behind, window here, home ahead. There is a peculiar kindness in finally seeing what has been helping you all along. It does not produce excitement. It produces ease. The road feels less accidental to her now, less like a series of houses and stones passed out of habit, more like a route that has been gently composed over time by many small acts of keeping. A lantern cleaned, a latch oiled, a curtain left half open, a room lit just long enough to soften the deeper part of the street. May thinks of all the people who may have paused inwardly at this very point without ever stopping their feet. A tired clerk walking home with empty hands. A shopkeeper after closing. A gardener crossing back from the shared plots. Someone carrying medicine. Someone carrying nothing at all. Their steps may have loosened here. Their shoulders may have softened by a degree too small to measure. And the window, never knowing, may still have helped. Breath in and out. She wonders whether the people inside the house know what their evening lamp has become to the road outside. Or perhaps there is only one person there, one quiet reader, one late tea drinker. May does not pursue the guess. The room behind the light can remain its own. What matters tonight is what the light has done once it leaves the glass. The dark stretch around her no longer seems like a gap between places. It seems joined, held. The window does not banish the night. It gives the night a gentler center. And because of that, May can stand beneath it without wanting anything from it at all. She is content simply to know it is there. At last, she gives the window one more quiet look. Not the first glance of recognition now. A calmer look. The sort one gives after understanding has settled. She feels, with complete certainty, that she will never pass this part of the road in quite the same way again. At last, she begins walking again. The movement feels natural. The pause had already completed itself. The road, the window, and the new understanding between them now travel with her as quietly as the cool air. She passes beyond a house and reaches the bend. From there, she turns once and looks back. The upper window is still visible above the darker stretch of wall and roofline. Smaller now, more distant, and yet no less steady. From here, it does not appear decorative. It appears placed, as if the road had long ago accepted it as one of its evening markers. May continues on. The house is thin. The lane opens. Home lies only a little farther ahead. But the walk has changed shape in her mind. Not because anything new entered it tonight, because something old finally became clear. She had always received this light. Only now has she thanked it inwardly. The town around her seems full of similar things, kindnesses that do not introduce themselves, familiar arrangements so constant they become almost invisible. A lamp at a bridge, a bench kept clean, a back shelf where a notebook may rest in reach of warm hands, a road that does not leave itself completely dark in the middle. Moonlight Town has always known how to be gentle through placement rather than display. She reaches the turn nearer home and glances back once more. The light is still there, not brighter because she has noticed it, still only what it always was. A quiet room above a quiet road. And yet, because she has finally seen it properly, the whole stretch behind her seems kinder than it did at the beginning of the walk. Breath in and out. May thinks that some lights do not ask to be noticed. They do not call anyone closer. They do not mark themselves as important. They simply remain long enough to become part of the way home. That thought settles in her with unusual ease. She does not need to carry it to anyone tonight. She does not need to ask questions at the bakery or the library tomorrow. It is enough, for now, to have seen the light and understood the road a little better. Some understandings begin not with absence, but with attention. This is one of them. When she reaches her own door, she pauses before going in and looks down the lane one final time. The distant upper window cannot quite be seen from here now. Only the memory of where it rests above the road remains. But even that is enough. The walk still feels gently held, as if the knowledge of the light continues after the light itself has gone from sight. Inside, her room is cool and quiet. She sets down her shawl. She moves more slowly than before, not from tiredness, from the after effect of attention, the kind that leaves the whole evening softened. And somewhere along the road between bridge and bend, one warm window remains lit, not asking to be admired, only staying where it has always stayed, steady enough to become part of the road, gentle enough to be missed if it ever were not there. Tonight, however, it is there. And because it is there, the road keeps its quiet middle. The walk keeps its familiar shape. And May, carrying that small new understanding into sleep, feels that Moonlight Town has shown her one more way in which a place may care for those who pass through it, even when no one speaks of it at all. Good night, and sleep well.